Jaws, the classic movie about a bloodthirsty turbo shark in the resort town full of rich people who can't stop feeding themselves to it, terrified a generation of viewers like me into never going to the beach ever again. People today would still rather spend their weekend shitting in a wading pool than go anywhere near the fucking ocean. Well, prepare to have your shark-fearing minds blown, because Jaws isn't about a shark at all. It's about a man, slowly collapsing beneath the crushing weight of alcoholism. Chief Brody, the top cop of Amity Island, a man so unnervingly tan that he looks like one of the Lost Boys wearing footy pajamas cut from the skin of Macho Man Randy Savage, is a rumbling, bumbling, stumbling drunk. And his isn't the charming, hilarious alcoholism of a cartoon pirate. It's the dark, brooding alcoholism of a high school janitor.
You want to let that breathe for nothing.
The first thing we learn about Brody is that he's a cop from New York who just relocated to Amity Island. Why would a weak-willed pushover, terrified of the ocean, leave New York City to rule the largely ornamental police force of a yuppie island community? Here's the answer. Brody didn't move voluntarily. He got drunk on the job and crashed his police cruiser. And rather than face a department-wide public disgrace, the NYPD quietly shipped Brody's booze-soaked ass down to Amity. In the scar-sharing scene on the Orca, we see Brody lift up his shirt to reveal a faded old wound so that he can join in the conversation, but then he clearly thinks better of it. Puts his bronze torso back in its holster. That's the scar from his accident. He doesn't want to share it with Quentin Hooper because it's a horribly embarrassing story about his failure as both a responsible man and as an officer of the law. Sure, Quint's probably drunk all the time too, but did you see all the shark bones in his house? Clearly doesn't interfere with his work. And driving a boat while hammered is totally legal. It actually makes you better at boating. The reason Brody lets the mayor and everyone else tell him what to do all the time is because he's on thin freaking ice. He even hints towards the accident when he mentions having to walk his kids to school in New York.
Kids can't leave the house, you gotta walk them to school.
Why wouldn't he just drive him to school? Because his license got pulled after he hopped into his police cruiser and let Steel Reserve take the wheel. Steel Reserve has hands in this joke. Virtually every time we see Brody at home, he's drinking. He crushes an entire bottle of wine at dinner, and we're given the distinct impression that getting shit-faced and struggling to have sex is the only thing he and his wife enjoy doing together.
Want to get drunk and fool around?
Oh yeah.
When the shark shows up, nobody listens to Brody at first. The mayor treats him like the biggest asshole in the universe for even suggesting that a shark is afoot, which means this probably isn't the first time Brody has called him in an early morning panic to drunkenly babble about sea monsters. But once the shark beefs that kid in front of a beach full of witnesses, suddenly the mayor has to admit that Brody was right. It's the first time anyone has shown him even the tiniest amount of respect since his transfer. And he doesn't want to let that go. Now, I'm not saying the shark doesn't exist, it totally does. But the shark is incidental. In all probability, that militia of dangerously inexperienced fishermen actually did catch the correct shark. And what happens when Brody and Hooper hop on Hooper's $1 million fancy boat to track down the real shark?
Amity, one man can make a difference.
Brody drinks a liter of wine straight out of the goddamn bottle. I'm not saying he didn't share any of it with Hooper, but he probably didn't share any of it with Hooper.
I pulled a tooth the size of a shot glass out of the wrecked hull of a boat out there.
The only people who use shot glasses as a unit of measurement are bartenders and people who have to breathe into a tube to start their pickup trucks. Whether or not there's still a shark out there is irrelevant, because it's no longer about the shark. It's about Brody needing there to be a shark. Being right about the shark made all the shame of his addiction go away. So in his mind, the shark has become his alcoholism. They even hunt it by stabbing it full of empty beer kegs. He's literally trying to kill the shark with sobriety. And hey, you remember that scene where they all drink Quint's terrible homebrewed liquor and sing to each other? Yeah, that was the entire trip. It was basically Chief Brody's leaving Las Vegas. This actually makes the film's climax more believable. A 25-foot shark leaping onto the transom of their enormous fishing boat, killing the seasoned shark hunter, and Brody shooting it so hard in the face that it explodes actually makes way more sense as the fever dream of a rampaging alcoholic trying to explain how Quint drowned after they all got wasted on bathtub hooch and crashed into a reef.
Hey, what day is this?
Classic Brody.
Roll sound, roll cameras, and action.
Hey guys, thanks for watching the video you presumably watched, unless you just skipped to the end to watch the end plates like I do, because I really just super love the end plates. So if you're like me and you just watched the end plates, welcome to yet another amazing Cracked YouTube. Please subscribe to our channel, End Plate. Alright, it seems like we're coming to the end of the end plate, but I hope you enjoyed this episode of Cracked End Plates.